Our next speaker is Maddie Perez. She, yeah. Maddie is originally from North Carolina, and something you may not know about her is that she once yo-yoed competitively.
Thanks, Julia. Okay, I have no idea how to hold this, so I apologize. That's a weird motion to make. They're not good. Not gonna do that. Okay. For many of you that know me really well, you've probably heard me go on and on about my love of therapy. And that's probably really weird for some of you because therapy is kind of weird. It's, you going out and you're talking to a complete stranger about these deepest, darkest secrets. But for me, therapy has been up. Okay, got y'all. Not this, not that. Okay. But for me, therapy has always been this thing that's told me who I actually am. It's giving me this opportunity to feel a release, really. It's shown me the freedom of my emotions, all of these feelings that I always kept bottled up. And I know for some people it's sort of like this horrible thing to even admit that therapy is something that you have to go to. And even for me, growing up, I thought therapy was only for people with real issues. And that was never me because I was perfect and amazing and crazy. But, over the last 18 years on and off, nearly 200 sessions, I have really come to terms with how much I love therapy. And it started when I was 11. I don't remember much about my first time going to therapy. I'm sure the walls were like a nice soothing color. There must have been pictures of maybe cats hanging or, I don't know, oceans or sunsets. I do remember the woman, my therapist, asking me countless questions about my family, my beliefs, my life. I don't know what else you ask an 11-year-old, but I remember sitting there and not really answering, not saying much, being terrified of what she would think of me. And I remember she never prodded. She never pushed me. She was very calm about it all and said, "That's fine." And though I don't really remember much that I got out of therapy, the one thing I can take away from it is I knew that I met someone who cared, someone who wasn't a friend, wasn't a family member, but was there for me and supportive. So, as an 11-year-old, it was just like this mind-blowing moment of therapy isn't so bad. There's someone getting paid who will listen to me. And the next time I went to therapy, I was 19. I was a sophomore in college and miserable. I was pre-med. I don't even know why at the time. Also an English major, which... But I was taking organic chemistry and biology, working with my model kit every night, and I hated it. I hated it. So much so that I sunk into a really severe depression. I didn't get out of bed for days. I skipped all of my classes. And it got so bad that I started contemplating suicide, to the point where I started considering my options. And I'm not sure what it was that pushed me to do this. Maybe it was remembering when I was 11, this feeling of knowing that there could have been someone out there for me, helping me. Maybe it was realizing how close to the edge I actually came. But one day, I walked straight into my medical center and asked how to get help. And that day, I met Jeff. He was my psychologist for 3 years. He is this person I met that I instantly clicked with. And you know that feeling you get when you meet someone, you're like, I could talk to you for the rest of my life. You could be my best friend, except you're my psychologist, so you probably can't be. He was amazing, supportive, open, and I just let loose and told him everything. And for 10 sessions over 10 weeks, I got better. I started, going to class again. I started sleeping less. I started feeling better about it and maybe considering dropping the whole pre-med thing because, let's be honest, that's not good. And then I decided that I didn't need Jeff anymore. I thought I was all cured, depression was gone, whatever. So I canceled all my appointments, and I moved on with my life. And then 2 weeks later, I ended up in the hospital. I woke up with a sore throat, horrible headache, just my whole body ached. I had suffered from alcohol poisoning the night before. I had a really bad organic chemistry exam. Story is really just about organic chemistry over and over. And I decided, to celebrate my bombing by drinking and not stopping until they had to take me away in an ambulance. At my school, what happens when you go to or have some sort of alcohol-related incident is you go to therapy. And it just so happened that the therapy guy at my school was Jeff. So I remember preparing to walk into his office terrified, worried that he would berate me for my actions. And instead, he gave me a hug, and he said it would be okay, and we went right back into it. Right back into those same conversations that I felt like saved me the first time. I did get better again several sessions later, almost to the point of euphoria. And suddenly there was a switch that happened. And instead of having no energy, being depressed, I had too much energy. I was finishing my work maybe twice the speed that I was used to. I wasn't sleeping at all because I didn't need to anymore. I had this energy like bottled up inside of me that I started working out twice a day because I thought that'll tire me out. I started risky behavior, including taking drugs, drinking more, other things. I started shopping a lot, spending a lot of money on things that I honestly don't even know what I bought. And I told Jeff all of this because I was like, oh, this is a normal thing that college students do. I think this is like, whatever. He'll laugh at it. And instead, Jeff looked at me and said, I think I know what's going on. I'm not going to tell you yet without a second opinion. Let's go talk to the psychiatrist. I had no idea what that actually meant, but trusted Jeff. He was my boy. And then I walked into the psychiatrist's office, and I don't know how many of you have seen a psychiatrist, but it's very different from a psychologist. There's not really that getting to know you, want to be your friend, learning all about you phase. It's let's go hard and fast. Tell me about your life. Tell me about your family's history. Tell me about your blood type. I don't know. Tell me everything. Let me diagnose you. And so after 20 minutes, Dr. Chaudhry looked at me, put her pen down, and said, listen, Maddie, you are a textbook case of bipolar II disorder. We're going to start you on treatment immediately. Here's some medication, and right now you are suffering from hypomania. So I took the prescription, walked out the door, and I think started cursing very loudly because, what do you even say? For me, there's so many thoughts running into my mind. What the hell is hypomania? Who is this fucking woman to say this? She knew me for 20 minutes. And 3, I want to see that textbook because I don't know what bipolar II is and the difference between bipolar I. I remember putting the prescription on my desk and staring at it and just realizing that if I ever filled it, that would be me admitting that something was actually wrong with me. It wasn't depression, it wasn't this normal thing that everyone had, but it was a disorder that would be with me for the rest of my life. And then I talked to Jeff because, again, Jeff is my boy. And he sat me down and walked me through everything. Walked me through the difference between bipolar I and bipolar II. Walked me through the symptoms and actually how I matched up with those. Walked me through the entire treatment plan for the rest of my life. And he let me know just how prevalent it is, that 5.7 million Americans every year are diagnosed with bipolar I or II. And I felt better. And so I filled my prescription that day. It went on like this for several months, and even, going into age 23, I kept seeing psychologists and psychiatrists. But I realized then, after meeting new ones every time, they weren't Jeff. They could never be Jeff. And I guess that's something that, for anyone who's never been to therapy, you have to know. I got really fucking lucky that I found Jeff so quickly. He changed my life in so many ways. But you're never going to always, find your Jeff immediately. Find that person that really teaches you how important therapy can be. And I was doing pretty well. And then at the age of 24, I decided that I was cured again. So I got off my meds, stopped going to therapy, and was like, totally fucking fine. That bipolar thing, that's fake. I don't have that. And I was fine, kind of. Drank a lot, did some dumb things, and I overall was okay. And then I got here. I don't have to tell anyone here, I guess, that business school can be exhausting, mentally, physically, emotionally. I love it here. I think it's an incredible time. But there are just so many things you can do, so many people to meet, see, events to plan, parties to go to. There was a point where I just got exhausted. And core for me was, to be honest, completely miserable. I was incredibly depressed the entire time. I was suffering from imposter syndrome, looking around knowing everyone was more impressive than I was. I was anxious, and I'd never really suffered from panic attacks before, but I couldn't go a day without heart palpitations. I started sitting on the edge of every class just in case I needed to run out at any point. I was a really shitty girlfriend because I didn't know who else to take it out on, who else I could be honest with. And it wasn't until I blacked out one night at 8 p.m., woke up the next morning, no idea how I got home, what I did, who I was with, that I had this quick reflection of that moment in the hospital when I woke up and didn't know where the fuck I was or how I got there. And so at that moment I immediately called MIT Medical and booked an appointment. Since November, I have been on 10 medications in some sort of combination, 3 for antidepressant, 3 for mood stabilization, 2 for anti-anxiety, and 2 for insomnia. And this seems like a hell of a lot. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know. But for many people who are suffering from bipolar 2, bipolar 1, other mood disorders, it's not a science. You have to keep trying and figuring it out. And for me, last semester and even parts of core, that trying out period was a roller coaster. There were moments when I was so depressed and didn't want to get out of bed and hated everyone. Then there were moments, like all of last semester, where I was very manic to the point where I wasn't sleeping, I got shit done, and I was just like a ball of energy. And I thought that was great. My psychotherapist said, no, it wasn't. Whoops. But, we finally found a nice combination of drugs, my cocktail of choice, that really does work. And I do feel stable. There are moments where I'm anxious beyond belief. This one. There are moments when I, feel this overcoming anxiety, or not anxiety, but depression. But overall, I am happy now, and I can say that honestly, because my girlfriend forgave me for me being an asshole, and we're doing strong after 5 years. Because I learned how to say no. I finally realized that I can't do everything, and I signed up for too much shit. And for the 2018s, you will learn that very soon. So I had to let things go, things I cared about. But, sometimes you have to for your own health. And I found really fucking amazing people here, amazing friends who have supported me and listened to me and just been there for me. And maybe I wasn't looking for that in core, but I finally found it. I know that therapy is always going to be a part of my life now. And I finally come to terms with the fact that there's no point in winning or trying to beat therapy. It's really about sustaining and maintaining it. And I'm not trying to get on a soapbox here, but I think therapy can be this amazing thing for everyone else here. Maybe just once. At MIT it is free, so just check it out. I know you may want to say, oh, I can talk to my friends and family. It's the exact same thing as therapy. I promise you it's not. These people are trained in the way your family and friends are not. Fun fact. And they do care, and they are there to help. And maybe you're afraid to talk to someone openly. It's really fucking weird. And honestly, every few times, sometimes at therapy, I'll be sitting there, she'll ask me what's going on, and I stop, and I'm like, I did the, all right. It's hard. It's always going to be hard to admit your mistakes, your fuck-ups, whatever. But therapy is the best place to do it. And you may be worried about finding your Jeff or talking to someone, and honestly, it's going to be hard your first time, or your second time, or your third time, or your fifth time. Even now, it's like my 189th time or something like that, and I still, it's like the therapy thing. It's weird. But you just keep trying and realizing the benefits of it. And you have to remember that. It might be terrifying. You may not get the best experience. But you also may feel this sense of relief when you talk. You might learn something about yourself that you never knew. You might feel this freedom that you didn't know that you needed when it came to your secrets or your just feelings deep down inside. And therapy may be just the thing that you need, like it is for me. Thanks, guys.